Okay, now I'm going to introduce our next writer. As a child, Joanne Zienty spent a lot of time wandering the aisles of a South Side branch of the Chicago Public Library. She also read a lot, but when she couldn't find the stories she wanted to read, she started writing her own. In 5th grade, she completed a 70-page novel and had her first play, a Thanksgiving melodrama, produced at her school. Joanne is now an elementary school library director, which allows her to combine several of her favorite things: reading, encouraging others to read, teaching information literacy, and keeping up with her tech geek skills. Joanne also has books over there. I believe they're for $10. Joanne, where are you? Oh, Joanne, please come on up.
Okay, is this 6.5 inches? Am I good?
You read that?
I did. And I was hoping to keep the Geiger counter on because I was going to see how fast I could get it going. But I'm very honored to be asked to read here tonight. It's very humbling. My novel, The Things We Save, won the 2014 Illinois soon-to-be-famous Illinois author contest. I don't know if I'm famous yet, but I'm here, and I'm going to share a part of it with you. I want to kind of give you some background on the book. So I'm going to read from kind of chapter 5. But when Claire Sokol returns to her hometown of Chicago for the funeral of her beloved grandmother, she has to come face to face with her father, from whom she's been estranged for many years. She also has a nasty confrontation with her childhood nemesis, a cousin named Dougie, which leaves her chest deep in the icy waters of Lake Michigan. When she returns home to St. Louis, she's flooded with childhood memories, the everyday ghosts of her childhood, and of the 2 boys who were dearest to her, her older brother Joey and another cousin, Jamie, both long dead. So we pick up the story as she examines the box that holds the physical evidence of these memories. In the bottom drawer of the dresser, underneath a layer of neatly folded sweaters that I never wear, yet I always neglect to give away to the fall clothing drive, sat a box. It was the kind that department stores used to provide for gift giving when I was a child. A large, deep, sturdy rectangle with strong, reinforced corners, not the collapsible kind of today. A box made of heavy-duty cardboard in a cover wrapped in a gleaming white laminated paper embossed with the Marshall Field's name and the famous clock. It was a relic of the days when sales clerks would take the time to fold your gift purchase, maybe a shirt or a sweater for Dad or a peignoir for Mom, and they'd fold it with impeccable care and place it lovingly in the box, lined with 2 or 3 layers of tissue paper. And they would gently enclose it in its crackling, opaque whiteness, tuck the gift receipt into its own genteel little envelope attached to the inside cover, and then they'd seal it with a smile of a co-conspirator, and issue a reassuring, "I'm sure he'll love it." As old as it was, the box was in remarkably good shape, with just a few creases along the cover and a small dent in one of the sides. But then, I was not in the habit of handling it very often. Probably the last time I'd lifted the sweaters to remove it from its shelter was 10 years before, after an awkward visit from my father, who'd been passing through St. Louis on his way to see his sister at her retirement community down in Phoenix. He had wanted to see his granddaughter, and Aaron gave his consent, and I sat stone-faced and silent while their conversation moved forward haphazardly in a series of reckless spurts and abrupt halts, like the progress of a traveler on a footbridge riddled with broken boards and gaps. Afterwards, after enduring 7-year-old Tally's look of confused reproach and the disapproval in Aaron's raised eyebrows, I'd sought affirmation for my behavior in the box. Now I sat on the floor and ran a hand over its gleaming lid while lifting off. But instead of rustling tissue paper, the frayed, drab white fabric of a t-shirt that had been washed and worn a few too many times concealed the contents. Folding back the soft cotton, I saw the remnants of a life lived, a life gathered and sorted and tucked into little piles of once upon a times. In one corner sat a stack of letters and postcards held with a beige rubber band, the canceled postage on the envelopes revealing a progression of commemorative stamps and postal increases. In another corner, a cache of photographs bulged from a wrinkled envelope, the face of an androgynous girl with a too strong jawline and too much lipstick grinning above the edge. In the corner nearest my right knee nestled a small square jewelry case covered in red velvet. In the corner on the left rested a tiny cobalt blue perfume bottle shaped like a scallop, which held a fine gray powder. In the middle of the box rose a stack of old 45 RPM records lounging in their worn dust jackets. I picked them up one by one and blew off the tiny specks of dust, hanging them over my thumb like we used to, reading the titles and hearing the music rattle in my head. Magic Carpet Ride by Steppenwolf, We Can Work It Out by the Beatles, Lola by the Kinks, Hot Fun in the Summertime, and Family Affair, as Sly and the Family Stone began to play. One child grows up to be somebody that just loves to learn, and another child grows up to be somebody who just loves to burn. Ah, Mom loves the both of them. You see, it's in the blood. Both kids are good to Mom. Blood's thicker than the mud. It's a family affair. And the somber, funky rhythm thrummed from somewhere out of the past. And then I spotted the tiny body of a doll, cradling its severed head within its bendy, twisty rubber arms. Here he was, the luckless Mr. Willoughby, patriarch, prisoner, victim. My finger rubbed the bit of modeling clay still clinging to his neck, rock hard from years without the warm touch of skin. It would never be pliable again. Much later, when the sunlight that angled through the windows had that mellow glow of an hour or two before sunset, I heard the click of the doorknob and the tread of soft-soled shoes across the floor, and the crick of knees that bent to stoop behind me, and the warmth and pressure of a large hand on my shoulder. We were silent together for a few moments, regarding the detritus spread before us and the dingy, threadbare t-shirt that drooped across my knees. Do you believe in ghosts? I finally asked. Aaron eased himself down behind me, his legs and arms spread around me so I could lean back into the solidness of his chest and rest my head against his neck, where his 5 o'clock shadow felt wonderfully sandpapery, real. No, I don't, he answered after a pause, but what I believe doesn't matter. He fondled an edge of the t-shirt between his thumb and his forefinger. So I'm asking you again, what did you talk about with your cousin Doug? In the moment before I answered, I swear I felt the icy water nip at my toes. Reflexively, I drew my legs away up into my chest. Dead boys. Your brother, Aaron said. And my cousin, Jamie. Joey and Jamie. And why did that upset you enough to make you walk into the water? I just needed to get away from him. That's not what I asked, Aaron said. You should have been a lawyer, I said abruptly, leaning forward, pulling away. Not so fast, he muttered, holding me tight, his breath hot in my ear. and a trickle of sweat from his temple melded with my own. I need to know, and you need to tell me. Let it go. Let it go. It's a clenching and an unclenching, a muscle tightening to expand like a contraction in the midst of labor, the rising of pain, of tension, and then a slight falling off as the womb dilates. It was something he said about a boy. Which boy? And there's Aaron, coaxing, drawing it out, like when Tally was born, gripping my hand and my arm so I could focus on something other than the pain. But they never really worked, those Lamaze techniques. They never took the focus off the pain. Better to just get it over with. Jamie, I said, trying to hold it in, sucking it in rather than blowing it out. What did he say? Aaron said. If I say it, if I repeat the words, will it make them true? It's a lie, I'm sure. But if I say them, if they come out of my own mouth, will that make me believe it? And if I believe it, will it be true? He said Jamie drowned. Aaron shifted, and his fingers stuttered on my arm. You once told me he died in a car crash. There it is at its peak, the wave of pain. There's the breach and the tear. Only a little more, just one more. He said there was no crash. And the inner grip that clenched my chest as tightly as Aaron's hand made me breathless, and my mouth, my voice, a mere hiccup. He said that Jamie drowned in Lake Michigan, just walked into the lake and drowned, like maybe on purpose. And it was out. The pain and tension suddenly replaced with an enormous sense of sighing deflation, like a split second after birth when the baby pulled free, and the sudden emptiness, a relief to a womb that was asked to contain the uncontainable. Aaron ran his hands down my arm until they came to rest over my own, still clasping my knees, and he rubbed my white-knuckled bone. Do you believe him? The easy pressure of his fingers persuaded my own to loosen their grip, and my feet skidded back along the floor, and once again I leaned back into Aaron's comfort. I don't know what I believe. I don't know what I want to believe. I shook my head. There it was again, the pain, the tension, the clutching, the release. Not so strong this time. A lesser contraction to push out the afterbirth, to deliver the next truth. What I want to believe is he's still alive, impossible as that is. And a part of me wants to be with him, even if that meant going into that water. For as long as I had gone without tears, I always thought that when they finally returned, it would be with a mighty gush, with a kind of heart-aching, gut-wrenching deluge that chokes the throat and the nose and blinds the eyes. I anticipated wailing and keening, a rocking sort of cry that rends the soul and belly until it diminishes, leaving only a jumble of tissues and red swollen eyes to mingle with relief and despair. But that's not how it happened. The tears came slowly, quietly, without drama. And at first, they were barely indistinguishable from the beads of sweat that inched down my forehead. Salt water and salt water. But when my eyes brimmed and my vision blurred, I knew. And when they finally overflowed and meandered down my cheekbones and around the flare of my nose, pooling in the curve of my upper lip, I felt that they would flow forever. Thank you.